got sent to me about Underworld Bill, yeah. He said in his video he wanted to correct me about a situation that happened with him. Sovereign, appreciate you, Sovereign. And the situation, Dolphin, and the situation that happened with him was when the Islanders jumped him and the other Lebo boys, and I was there when it happened, yeah. And when this happened, he got abstayed several times, and Underworld Bill himself, he actually, in one of his lives that got sent to me, he actually shows all his abstay wounds that happened everywhere, yeah. I actually don't want to bring this up. Like, the reason why I told this story was to actually back Underworld Bill up, because I was sick and tired of like sitting here just enjoying myself on TikTok. Appreciate you, Sovereign. And then all I used to see was Underworld Bill's videos, and then everyone in the comments were killing his life, belittling him, saying that he's a wannabe gangster, that he's a flop, that he's this. And I remember when I explained that I heard him telling a story while I was sitting in the car with my wife, I turned to my wife, Sovereign, Balangi, appreciate you guys. I turned to my wife and I was like, hey, I know this story. And then I listened to Bill's story, and I was like, what the hell? I was there when this happened, when he got abstayed, you know? Nusky. And so seeing all the hate that was thrust upon Bill, and all the the jealousy because of his success. Narelle, Z, appreciate you guys. This is what made me come out, the Maori, Narelle, and explain that, hey, you can say what you want to say about him, but I'm going to tell it how it is. I was there when he got Lee, NATO, and the guy did his best to survive. You know, he walked out of there, Ducks Junior, and he didn't get stretched out. You know what I mean? NATO, appreciate you. That's what prison is about, Aldine. Like, when you walk onto enemy territory, or when you're attacked by enemies, you do what you need to do to survive. And if you're able to walk out of there, then you can consider yourself about it. Dusk, appreciate you guys. And so I come out and I actually expose the fact that Bill is about it. You know, he's like, I don't like seeing people being belittled when they actually live the gang life the right way. So my brothers and I, we lived the gang life the right way, you know. We did what needed to be done for ourselves and our families. And yes, it's nothing to be proud of. Palangi, I will whoop, appreciate you. It's nothing to be proud of, but at the end of the day, my brothers and I can stand here like men and say, when we chose that gang life, we lived it the right way, you know. And that's why the profile, I appreciate you, Parangi, Dusk Pig, and that's why I actually spoke about Janada, Parangi, 3i, the profiler. I spoke about Underworld Bill because I was like, man, people need to understand, you know, especially a lot of Lebanese people were mocking him. His own people were mocking him on his comments, you know, and I thought, if you guys didn't know, Underworld Bill, Parangi, God is amazing. I think it said the profiler, Parangi. So during the racial wars, there were boys who paved the way for the younger generation. For example, I was one of the frontline soldiers for the Islanders, OG crew, my brother and I, and a lot of other boys, Tongans, Samoans, Fijians. And if it wasn't for people like myself and the rest, Dust Pig, the Islanders today wouldn't have a strong stance inside prison, yeah? Because back in the early 90s, the Islanders and the Lebos and the Kuris had no power whatsoever in prison. You know, it was the Aussies, the white guys ran the prisons. The white guys were the ones who had connects not only with the screws, but also with the police. You've all seen it. Roger Rogerson was one of the most corrupt police to ever live, yeah? And this guy used to back all the white gangsters, you know, and he wasn't the only cop that did it. Maggie, Sovereign, appreciate you guys. So here I am explaining to you guys how I got thrust into the racial wars when I first come into prison, yeah? And then you got all these other influencers who was talking about gang stuff, and they're trying to paint a narrative, yeah? Explaining how they stood on their own, or explaining how their version of exactly what happened, yeah? Even though majority of their time they weren't in and amongst everything that happened. So I'm not trying to put anyone down. All I'm explaining is this video that got sent to me today, this morning, about Underworld Bill saying that he needed to correct Triggz. Exact words was, I need to correct Triggz on what he said about this story, because we didn't get demolished. In his words, like they, along the lines of saying like, yeah, we got, but you know, we survived. Look, this is what I've got to say about it, yeah? The Aussies ran the prisons in the early 90s. When the racial wars started, that's when the four main nationalities had a platform, yeah? This platform, like Aiden, Sovereign, appreciate you guys, Trippy, it's the Asians, the Islanders, the Kuris, and the Lebanese boys. These were the four main nationalities that went to war. And as I explained to you guys, the Kuris backed the Lebanese boys, and the Islanders backed the Asian boys. Without the Lebanese boys, the Kuri boys never would have got access to mobile phones, drugs, and cigarettes. Same thing with the Islanders. The Asians were the reasons that the Islanders got access to phones, drugs, and cigarettes. Yes, the Kuri and the Islander boys could swindle moves from time to time, but they weren't as good as the Asians and Lebanese. Asians and Lebanese inside prison, when I first came in, they were the ones that were running not only the drug trade, but the mobile phones, and and whoever had this stuff was pretty much the ones who called the shots, yeah? So for example, the Kuris, they don't listen to no one, all right? But if you give them something, bro, they're down for the cause, all right? So this is what I meant. Dust Pig, Trippy, appreciate you guys. This is what I meant when I was saying that the Kuris and the Lebanese boys were aligned. And someone had sent me, Uncle Paulie, my man, and someone had sent me a video where Underworld Bill said we stood on our own, you know. And yeah, the Lebanese boys, the Middle Eastern boys, all did stand on their own. But when they got leeway into Kuri prisons, Trippy, appreciate you, my man. This was because the Kuri boys considered the Lebanese boys an alliance. Remember, the Lebanese boys are very smart. They were the ones that swindled the moves, and they were the ones who were able to get access to a lot of things. Now, the reason why I'm bringing all this up is because Underworld Bill released this video and he explained to everyone, you know, I just want to straighten up what Triggz said. Now, this is where I'm at with this. The war that happened back then, yeah, inside prison, where Underworld Bill was getting abstayed. Mataki, appreciate you. He was getting got, yeah, and there was nothing he could do about it. They outnumbered. The Lebanese boys, like, were taken by surprise. And remember, I was standing there when this happened, all right? Me and an old Lebanese guy were in the cage together, and we watched the whole thing unravel. And so all I have to say to Underworld Bill is, like, you've shown all your abstay wounds, yeah? So when you were getting abstayed on that day, you fought hard and you fought like a man and you walked out of the wing. But you didn't see what I saw, all right? None of your boys ran over to help you. None of your boys tried to run over and drag the other guys off you. When it kicked off and you were getting abstayed, a lot of your guys just stood there, yeah? you weren't the only one that got attacked from the side. There was a lot of your guys who got attacked. Because remember, the Islanders had organized this hit the day before, and I was in this meeting when Montana, the Islander who was running the pod at the time, for the Islanders, he was running the pod for the Islanders at the time. Yeah, he was the one that called the shots. He was the one that said something was going to happen the next day, and yeah, like I was the young one there. I was the youngest kid there. So when he was explaining it, he didn't say anything to me, but I had to be in the meeting because I was Islander. Yeah, pretty much he called the shots that the Islanders were gonna make a move on the Middle Eastern boys the next day, and a lot of these Middle Eastern boys were from Punch Bowl. Yeah. I go to to legal visit. I come back from legal visit. I'm stuck in a cage, and then all of a sudden it kicked off. And the first thing that happened was one of the Lebanese boys got hit with a rice cooker before Bill got abstain. You know, so by the time Bill could like even turn, he got abstain. And so what Bill didn't see was what I saw, and what I saw was a lot of his guys running and one was trying to fight back, but majority of them couldn't do nothing. Like, it's not their fault they couldn't do nothing. You know, like, this was pre-planned, you know what I mean? And that's why I'm explaining it to you guys. You're saying that you didn't get demolished. But, all right, you walked out like a man. Cool. But no one stood there and friggin' made the Islanders look bad. So when I say demolished, it's because none of yous even attempted to be what's called the one that brings the Middle Eastern name up. Because I'll give you an example. When I got jumped here, like, I took it to them. I got stabbed, but I kept going, you know. I got outnumbered, but I kept going, you know. I brought the Islander name up, yeah. Yes, Underworld Bill and all the Lebanese boys, they held their own. They were strong and they tried their best, but it is what it is. You know, the boys got them. Now, fast forward after this incident happened at Silverwater with Underworld Bill and the other Lebanese boys, yeah. Tiger and the other Lebanese boys at Long Bay prison, they attacked the Islanders. Same thing. One of the Islanders that got attacked at Long Bay after that incident with Bill, his name is Tala. All right. No, it's not Tala from today. This is old school Tala from back in the 90s. One of the best fighters in the yard, in the Islander yard. Yeah, Eshe, appreciate you. Now, Tala, mate, this guy is ruthless, all right? But Tala got stabbed 16 times, Spitzy, Ethan, 16 times from the Lebanese boys, and a few Korean boys jumped in as well. Spitzy, he got stabbed that many times, and he did his best, you know? But obviously, he got hard. But just like Bill, like, he did not get stretched out, you know? The thing is, with me is, Tala didn't get an opportunity to show the Islander strength because he got from behind. Just like Bill, he didn't get an opportunity to show the Middle Eastern strength because he got from behind, you know? So pretty much when I say that Underworld Bill and the Lebanese boys got demolished that day, it's the same thing. The Islander boys at Long Bay after that incident got demolished, you know? But all the boys that was involved in all these instances, they were all real gangsters and they all went on with it. Yeah, there was a few, I can name like 3 or 4 people that pussied out during the brawl. One of these Islanders who did pussy out during this brawl, he got his head jumped on at Park Lee. NBA, appreciate it, about a year later after all these incidences. So this is my thing, like, I'm not trying to belittle the Muslim boys or the Lebanese boys or the Middle Eastern boys, yeah? I tell things how I saw it, and that's exactly how I saw it. I was there when it happened, and there were several opportunities for Lebanese boys that were in the pod to run over and help Bill when he was getting abstayed, and they all stood there. Not one of them ran towards him to try to help him. I swear I was watching, and there was like 3 or 4 that were standing there, and all of them just stood still. So that's the reason why I say demolished, because back then, one in, all in, yeah? That's how it was. Didn't matter what nationality you were, one in, all in. And like I said, I explained this also, how the Islander boys got demolished after that incident. This was the Middle Eastern boys' revenge on the Islander boys. Now, with Underworld Bill, I don't know him from a bar soap, but I was there when this incident happened, and that's the reason why I spoke up for him when everyone was belittling him. Yeah. Now, Underworld Bill has gone and said several times that he will never mention any names, and he's never mentioned any names. But like I told you guys, no matter what, the boys who are telling stories will eventually name names. Why? Because it brings the story to life. Xavier, because remember, Underworld Bill can tell you all the war stories he wants, yeah? But at the end of the day, people are going to just take it with a grain of salt, like, yeah, whatever, you know? Oh, but you know what? KJW, Triggz did say he's about it, so they're going to be like, maybe he is about it. Maybe he did go through all that stuff, yeah? But when he came out and he finally mentioned Ravi Kalachi as being his big brother, you know, or his main guy, go-to guy, so no, that's big, yeah. That was a good thing, you know. Like, I never mentioned Moses' name too much, but Moses was a big influence on me, you know, like, not many people know. Philos, appreciate you. Not many people know, but Moses and his brother Charlie, they were the ones that took my family in when we first came to Australia, and they were the ones that gave us a place to stay, you know. And so fast forward me going to prison and then I meet Moses. I didn't realize until I explained to my mom Moses' last name, and then my mom was like, what the hell, that's our family, you know. So I never mentioned Moses' name because I don't want to be how do I put it? I don't want to be that person that everyone says, he's telling these stories about Moses because he wants everyone to listen. Because everybody knows Moses got a big name. Everybody knows Julius Graf has got a big name. Like, everybody knows Dave Tafua, one of the biggest names in prison, yeah? But when Bill went and said Ravi Kalachi's name, like, us who live in the underworld, we all knew who Underworld Bill was talking about when he was speaking about Ravi Kalachi. Obviously, he didn't say the name at the time. And then I came out a couple of weeks later, and I wasn't talking about Underworld Bill at the time. I was talking about the Aussies that were in protection, not naming names, yeah? But the reason why those Aussies weren't naming names was because if they did name names, everyone would out them and say, hey, you were in protection, you freaking flop, like that. You know, so I actually wasn't talking about Underworld Bill when I said eventually you would name names. But it was just a coincidence that the week after, Underworld Bill comes out and then brings out Ravi Kalachi's name, you know. And yeah, he was a big name inside prison, but the worst thing that Underworld Bill could have said was that Ravi Kalachi ran the prisons, you know. He ran the Lebanese boys, but he definitely didn't run the prisons, you know. Like, he had a big name, and he also had a good name, you know. All the nationalities got along with him. But when Bill brought this name, Rabi's name out, and put him on a pedestal, it was very easy for one of the Kuri boys to come out and explain how Rabi got jumped, and then apparently his jaw got broken by all the Kuri boys, you know. But this is what I'm saying. When I speak to you guys about certain things that happen in prison, I hold back on a lot of things. Like, if I explained to you guys in detail all the things that happened, like in my stories, yeah, you guys would be shocked, all right? But I hold back a lot of things because I know for a fact that things will come out. So, for example, Underworld Bill revealing Ravi Kalachi's name, but then also saying that the bro was running all the prisons. Like, it's the worst thing you could say, because everyone's going to come out with any skeleton that was in the closet, you know. And let me tell you something, there's a video out there of when Ravi got jumped, but nobody knew it was Ravi, you know. Like, it was like an in-house thing, but it was also a prison thing where every nationality never talked about it, because there was an incident that happened back then and everyone kept it under wraps. Why? Because everyone got along with Ravi Kalachi, you know. That incident was just, Dom, appreciate you, was just something that happened, MZ Pa, and the Kuri boys, yeah, they did get along with Ravi, but on that day, they just didn't want a bar of any of the Muslim boys, you know. So Kuri brother come out and explained the story, because remember, Underworld Bill wasn't there when this incident happened. Dom, he's telling you something that he heard from his own boys. And obviously, if your boys are going to tell a story about you, like when my boys tell a story about me, they're always going to make me look good, you know what I mean? That's what I do when I talk about my boys. I always make them look good. That's P, Uso, appreciate you. And Underworld Bill, like, yeah, well, I'll give it to him. He's very loyal. He always he talked up the Kalachi family, and he talked up his brother Ravi Kalachi, you know. But the worst thing he could have done, Dom, TJ, was say that he ran the prisons, because skeletons were going to come out of the closet. Big case, Spitzy, you know. And when the Kuri brother come out and explained that, obviously the Lebanese boys would be pissed off about it, case Felix, because no one ever spoke about it. The reason why no one ever spoke about Kalachi getting jumped is because he had a lot of love from every nationality. Like, I remember even Moses spoke highly of him, you know. And Ernie, appreciate you. And so a lot of people who comment on my lives, and they're like, oh bro, I thought you were a gangster. Why are you talking about stuff that shouldn't be spoken about? So there you go, guys. This is the reason why I come out only about things I know about and things that I was in and amongst. User Palangi, I will never tell you something that that comes from assumptions, all right? And especially if it came from someone else. My thing is, if I wasn't there, or if I haven't done my homework on something, then I wouldn't speak on it, you know. And so it was a bit of a shit feeling, Rebel, that when Ravi's name got dragged in the mud because the Kuri brother explained how his jaw got broken, nobody knew this stuff. Robin, appreciate you, brother, you know. But the reason why the Kuri brother explained it is because he was there. You know, the Kuri boys had the power, and this is what I explained time and time again. You know, like, there's boys like myself, Dom, that was in Supermax, yeah? And Supermax, STG, IVO, for those of you who don't know, STG is Serious Threat Group. It's where all the gang members go, gang leaders, and IVO is Individual Violent Offender, those who are very violent towards officers and inmates, but they didn't need to be in a gang. All right. So these are the types of places that myself and Underworld Bill ended up in, but it's a kindergarten place. It's not a prison. It's not something that's considered ruthless. Like I explained to you guys, I was the only one in Supermax at the time that was trying to get out of Supermax. I was writing to the official visitor. I was writing to the ombudsman, and I was trying to explain that I was being held unjustly in Supermax and in STG, because they were the ones that came and grabbed me and chucked me into the main. Adam, appreciate you. They grabbed me and chucked me into into Supermax for no reason. I did nothing wrong, you know. But at the same time, so you guys all understand, that wasn't something to be proud of, because when you're inside Supermax, you don't know nothing. You just hear things, so you assume things, you know. The amount of times stories came out in Supermax and then everyone found out later on that it was all rubbish. Like, bro, I'd be a rich man now if I told you all those stories, you know. But also, when I explain things about older boys, for example, when I spoke about the story with Oscar Tafahema and Baz Kavanagh, Oscar Tafahema, like he has no skeletons in the closet, yeah. So I will explain the situation. Why? Because I was there when Baz started abstating him, yeah, and I was there watching clearly when Oscar Tafahema started throwing punches back. You know, like he didn't take a backward step. He didn't buckle. He was a real gangster. You know what I mean? And that's why when I explained to that story, I had to think about it first. Johnny, appreciate you, my man. I had to think about, all right, if I tell this story about Oscar, is there gonna be any skeletons coming out? Rebel AJ, appreciate you. And I thought to myself, you know what? There's no skeletons in the closet when it comes to Oscar, because he lived his gang life the right way. Never snitched, and he was a frontline soldier for the Islanders. And even though he did what he did for himself, FTG, he always backed his brothers to the death, you know, like his brother Cube, yeah, he was a troublemaker and that, but it didn't matter because everybody loved Oscar, so Cube always got that leeway when it came to boys being upset, you know. They would never turn on Cube because everybody loved Oscar. So again, back to Underworld Bill. The things that he says and he is something that, yeah, a lot of young Lebanese boys need to listen to, because he did go through all of that, yeah. And it's not war stories that you hear on the playground. Like the war stories that he tells, majority of them, like, yeah, I can honestly say that it did happen, yeah. Like there's a few things that he got mixed up with the Asians. I'm not going to speak on it. I'm not going to try to correct him. Remember, I grew up with all the Asian gangs, so I know them inside out. I was inside prison with all the main Asians, and I know who was there and who wasn't there. I know what gang was ruthless, and I know what gang wasn't ruthless, and I know what gang died out at what date. And so I know exactly when someone's telling a story about a certain crew or a certain Asian, I know for a fact whether it's true or not. Von, Kaz. So I'm not trying to throw any of the boys under the bus that are actually speaking about this, because remember, yeah, they were the syndicate, my man. Yeah, they were there when all these incidents occurred. But just like me, I don't know how the Lebanese boys hold themselves when it comes to ranks and when it comes to family. Like, everybody has their own internal dramas and everybody has a way that they run, yeah? So Underworld Bill doesn't know how the Asians run, and the Asians don't know how Underworld Bill runs. Just like myself, I don't know how the Lebanese boys run. I don't know how the Asian boys run. But me, I just focus on myself and my team. But back then, it was an Islander thing, so I just focused. Syndicate, appreciate you. Back then, I just focused on the Islander boys. I didn't care about the outsiders. My thing was, I go hard for the Islanders, and if I die in the process, then it is what it is, you know. And then I'm listening to a lot of these stories. So I really appreciate you. I'm listening to a lot of these stories that's been told by a lot of different boys, you know. One of these stories is about a Aboriginal guy named Vesta. If you Google the guy's names, it's going to show you the most degrading charges that you've ever seen in your life about Vesta, yeah? He has his excuses. Josiah, I appreciate you. Vesta is Aboriginal. He has his stories on how that charge occurred. Like, it's bad charges, choppable offenses, yeah? Scorpio. But I give it to that Vesta. Like, he denies. Jesus, Ricochet, appreciate you guys. He denies those charges, and he tries to tell everyone that it was his co-offender. But the reason why I give it to him is, like, there is no April and all that stuff. Kazi Fams, F me, dead. So me, appreciate you guys. There is none of those disgusting charges allowed in the main. If they were in the main, they would get chopped straight off the bat, yeah? Syndicate, appreciate you guys. But that Vesta, who was in for those disgusting charges, every single prison he went to, he always had a blade, and he always fought for his stance in the main. He always used to explain to everyone, Kazi, Johnny, I don't care. He goes, if you guys are gonna attack me for these charges, then bring your best, because I promise you, I'm ready to do it. This is how Kazi, the syndicate, appreciate you guys, Rick Shade. This is how Vesta was. He didn't care. Like he's been jumped several times, yeah. Rick Shade, the syndicate, game stat. But the guy just does not freaking take a backward step. He does not know what give up means, yeah. Kazi, the syndicate. I've never had a chance to bump into him and Philos, and if I did, I would have had to attack him too, because the charges that he's in for is so bad. I wouldn't want this stuff to happen to my sisters or my girl cousins, you know what I mean? So that's the reason why I would have turned on him, but I never had the opportunity to bump into him, and thank God for that, because obviously I want to come home. But a lot of boys did try to get Vesta, and he attacked them. You know, like even Islander boys that tried to get him at Kempsey, was it Kempsey? Yeah, Kempsey prison, and he turned it on the Islander boys, and he went on with it. You know, Johnny, the syndicate, love yous. So when boys are talking about this Vesta and like and yeah, they put him on a pedestal a bit, like I have nothing against them doing that, because at the end of the day, he never pleaded guilty like to the boys that he was a part of that that situation that happened with that girl, you know. And then he ended up I think the word is unalive, his co-offender, and his words were it was his co-offender that did all that disgusting stuff, not him, but he got charged with it as well. This is what I'm hearing from him, Kazi, Johnny, you know. And what's cool, and when the Muslim boys are amongst these guys who are in for disgusting charges, yeah, a lot of them, well, majority of them, 99% of them are all gangsters, yeah. And none of them ever chopped any of these apis rays. Like, you know, the Skaafs, yeah, they were in for ape ray. One of them got 55 years, one of the biggest sentences inside prison, yeah. And so well, in Australia, 55 years is a big number. Johnny, syndicate. Now, when the Skaafs did what they did, you'd expect them to go straight into the boneyard, which they did. They went into the boneyard. But years later, and when I say years, I'm talking about like 10 years later, the Muslim boys brought one of the Skaafs out into the main, Xavier, Kazi, the syndicate. And this is what I always found weird, like when I was inside prison, like the thing I admired about the Middle Eastern boys is, number one, they were clean. Number two, they were willing to die for their people. And then number three, they looked after their people. As soon as hey, my girl, appreciate you. As soon as one of their own would come in, there'll be a bag of food handed straight over, TV, and that's how it was in the Lebanese yard. Every other yard, the Asian yard, the island yard, the Korea yard, it never happened, because everyone was for themselves, yeah. Mr. Drift, appreciate you. I was the one who changed that around when I came into the yard, and I made sure that all the Islander boys were looked after. But I used to praise the Muslim yard for being this way. They were always looking after their own. But the one thing that I didn't like was the fact that they brought Skaaf, apis ray, out of protection into the main. And I remember yelling out to one of the Muslim boys, Xavier, Johnny, I go, bro, why'd you bring that bloke like out of protection? You know, like you know what he's in for, the syndicate, Johnny. And as always, like they always go back to Allah. You know, He's the only one that can judge. Like at the moment, Skaaf had turned very religious, and they allowed him to come into the main with them. Look, I'm all for it. You know, God is to be put first and foremost. All right. So who am I to judge someone? What's cool? I'm a nobody. You know, and it's true. You know, only God judges. Like everybody knows that quote. All right. But inside prison, Xavier, the syndicate, when I'm in and amongst everything, it was a shock to my eyes to see this Apis Ray go inside to the Muslim yard, and they let him walk freely. And no other yard did that. You know what I mean? It was just the Muslim yard that did this. And there was a lot of the Skaaf's Kois that were also in the main, and all these guys had also been charged with Apis, yet they were given what's called an avenue to walk freely in the Lebanese yard. I didn't understand this. All I can basically say is what they brought up to me is the fact that only Allah can judge. So because they had turned religious, they were given that opportunity to prove their self-worth to Allah, so they were allowed to walk the Lebanese yard. At the time, I didn't know these guys were Skaaf's Kois until I had left the prison, and I found out later on who they were, because if you guys Google the name Skaaf, you obviously know it will come straight up, and then all the Kois are in line, all their faces are all over Google, you know, for the disgusting charges they were in for. And so I'm not trying to put down the Middle Eastern boys, because there was good and bad in every nationality. You know what I mean? For the Islander yard was the fact that a lot of the Islander boys were on drugs, and they were selling whatever they had to the Middle Eastern boys. Like, for example, I told you this before, they were selling their shoes, their CD players, and their buy-up. And that was something that I turned on the profile syndicate. That was something that I wouldn't have, because I didn't want the Islander yard to be put on show. My thing is, Islanders are strong people, and we're always frontline soldiers for everything. And when gangs are involved in certain things, who do they call when they need frontline soldiers? Is the Islanders. Or you could say the dumb Islanders that's willing to go and do dumb shit, you know? So if you guys around the world don't know anything about Australian and New Zealand prisons, I'm gonna stick to Australia. But like, the Islanders are the front line for everything. Majority is Islanders who are front line for everything. Every nationality calls the Islanders when they need help, because they know the Islanders are so dumb that they'll be willing to do anything for $500. Yeah. There was a guy that I met in prison, young Tongan kid, Uncle Paulie, the syndicate. This young Tongan kid came in for $1 million cash. He got caught with $1 million cash inside his boot, yeah? So when everyone was talking about this kid, oh, bro, did you hear about the doko? He's in for $1 million, blah, blah, this and blah, blah, that. He was put on a pedestal, and that he was considered like the smart gangster young kid who came in. But because I lived the life of of a gangster that was not only for Islanders but also for the Asians. Like, I ran with the Asians pretty much my whole juvenile life, yeah, so I know it inside out. And when I bumped into this Tongan guy who came in for $1 million, who got caught with $1 million, I asked him discreetly. I didn't want to put him on show, yeah, so I took him aside and I said to him, Shana, you know how you got caught with that $1 million? And he was like, yeah. I said, look, I was in and amongst all this stuff growing up as a kid, you know. I'm not trying to put you on show or anything. Syndicate, love ya. I go, but honestly, how much did you get paid to move that $1 million down past the Blue Mountains? Bro, you know, when I said this to him, his eyes like lit up. Ethan, the syndicate, because he knew that I knew, yeah? Like, the Islanders are always getting used to do the dumb frontline shit, yeah? So when he looked at me and he had his eyes open, he put his head down. He's like, fuck. He goes, nah, doggo, I was getting paid 5K. There you go. These are the things that a lot of people don't understand. Everyone thinks, oh, he got caught with $1 million. Oh, he got caught with an arsenal of weapons. But nobody ever knows what's going on in the background. Jay, the syndicate, appreciate you guys, you know. I was also one of the dumb islanders that went frontline for the Asian boys and for the islanders growing up as a kid. So some of the dumb shit that I did was carrying certain things over to certain people and handing it over. And I would be getting paid chump change to do it. Mr. WA, the syndicate, Cobster, love yous. And this kid was so honest with me, that he was embarrassed, all right? When he said to me that he got paid 5K, and then he looked at me and he goes like, how did you know, Uzo? And I said, Uzo, dog, it's my life. You know, I've been gangbanging since I was a kid, and I was also getting paid chump change. That's how I knew the $1 million didn't belong to you, because you were on your way to drop it somewhere. You weren't on your way to drop it to your safe. You were getting paid to move that money, you know? And he was like, wow. He goes, yeah, man. He goes, one of the boys got me the gig. He goes, I didn't even know it was $1 million. He goes, I just got told to move a bag. And then when he got arrested, and they told him it was $1 million, he was shocked, you know. We lost the syndicate, appreciate you guys. And he had he got paid 5K, you know, to move $1 million. But when he came inside prison, he had this big reputation of the young kid that was moving big amounts of money, you know what I mean? But that's how jail is. That's how outside is. Everyone sees something and then they assume something, and then in their brain they come up with their own story, you know, instead of waiting for the facts to come out. So to all you guys who watch my lives, understand this: I will never ever stray away from the truth. Everything I say is for the kids. I'm not trying to be under the limelight. I'm not trying to make money. I'm not trying to be famous, all right? All I do is tell my story with the hope that everyone learns from it. So when I said that the Lebanese boys got demolished during that issue, it's because they did, you know? And when I said that the Islander boys got demolished as revenge, it's because they did, you know? Tala is one of the biggest machines that was inside prison, This guy, mate, he was kicking the basketball poles with his friggin' the front of his leg. Like, you have all seen it on TV. The syndicate, appreciate you guys. Like, this guy, like, you would hear the pole go ding, ding, ding. Like, when he kicks it, everybody in the jail would look. Nastaya, appreciate you. Philos, appreciate you. So remember, when I'm on here, I'm not trying to be a hero, I'm not trying to come on here and tell you war stories just so that you guys can all start gifting me. Chili, Philos, appreciate you guys. All the gifts that I get, I pass it on to those that need it more than I do, you know. But when I tell you the stories, this is what I need to explain thoroughly. When I tell you stories, I only say facts. Nastia, appreciate you, Philos. And if I do have a mistake in something that I say, because sometimes I get so excited, the syndicate, Philos, sometimes I get so excited in telling my story, I accidentally mix up dates or something like that. I've watched one of my lives back where I said something and I was like, hang on a sec, it wasn't that year, it was the year before, you know. But this is because of the excitement. When I start telling the story, I get into it. Like, I don't have no script to read you guys. I don't have boys in the background saying, oh, don't forget to say this, don't forget. No, I'm just here by myself, you know, in my house telling my truth, you know, and I will always do my best to not put people on show. Like, if I was to come out with the amount of freaking older boys, with the amount of rebel philos, with the amount of so-called gangsters that that have this platform and that have this reputation, if I was to come out with the amount of times I've seen these guys get knocked out or seen these guys get put on show, get offered out, and they didn't fight back, I would be getting 4,000 people watching me every live, yeah? But I don't say this because I'm not here to belittle people. Syndication, I'm not here to belittle people, and I'm not here to put any gang or any crew on a pedestal. I am not here, get this through your head, I am not here to glorify gang-related stories, all right? I tell these gang-related stories with the hope that you guys learn from it. Cassie, 676, appreciate you. Asen Tillman, appreciate you guys. So I want all of you guys, get the word out there. Natsia, love you, appreciate you. So tomorrow I'm going to be going live. It's going to be some big stories tomorrow. Stories that not only the younger generation will learn from, but also stories that parents will learn from. Hey, the syndicate. To everyone that's been sending through gifts, I love you and I appreciate you. And to everyone who's sending through comments and stuff, I'll be more than happy to answer all your guys' questions when I'm having a free day. Caroline team. So I do lives where I have fun as well, where I just kick back and I just answer questions. Tonight, I just wanted to talk about these videos that were getting sent to me. I wasn't upset at all. Like, you can talk all the rubbish you want about me or my people, and I just see it as TikTok. That's what TikTok is. Yeah, the syndicate. Appreciate you guys. So remember, guys, tomorrow 7 p.m. I'm gonna be going live, and I'm gonna be bringing you the stories that the younger generation need to learn from. This is Triggz. I love yous. Respect. I'm out. Uncle Paulie, yeah, my man.